I have a pastor friend of mine, and he's a big Lord of the Rings fan, and he asked me if I'd be willing to run a Lord of the Rings style RPG for him and some of his students. I said I'd be happy to, but once I committed, I got a little nervous because the One Ring system, I have the box set here, but it's not 5e, something that I'm used to running. It's an actual D6 plus D12 system. But I went ahead, I hunkered down, read through the starter set, watched a ton of videos. Shout out to Ryan of the North's playlist and Will at World's End on how to do combat, whose videos were super helpful. And I also found a ton of resources in the One Ring Discord. Most of the resources were free, some of them were paid, but well worth it. So after getting all my info together, I was feeling a little bit better about it, but I was still concerned about actually running the game. How bad was I going to screw this up? So the day that I get there, I walk in and the room that we were playing in had been adequately themed, alleviating some of my fears, made me relax a little bit. The Lord of the Rings soundtrack was playing, totally got us in the mood. Of those that were playing, only one of the 4 people I was running for had any RPG experience, and no one had experience with the One Ring RPG, which was fine with me because they wouldn't know if I made any mistakes or not, which I did make a few, but more on that in a second. I gave them a choice of the pre-gens that were included in the box set, and I explained the mechanics as briefly as possible, and we were off. The adventures are laid out in a way for players to learn the system. The first adventure focuses on learning your character, how to roll for skills, etc. The second adventure adds combat, and each adventure builds upon itself so players can learn a new aspect of the game. Players learn the game progressively until their characters are ready to move on to greater adventures outside the Shire. So the first adventure starts off with old Bilbo, who calls the cousins together to retrieve an old map in Michael Delving from the museum library. The PCs had to cross a river which took quite a bit of time, but the team building and the idea swapping as to how they were to get across really solidified the group. Next, the PCs had to take a rest midway in an old barn where, in exchange for a night's lodging, they had to get a giant owl out of the barn. This required a fair amount of roleplay, but the PCs were up to the task. Lastly, they arrived at Michael Delving and had to sneak into the library and try to find the book that held a map that belonged to Bilbo's grandfather. They split the party, which makes for fun times, and while 2 PCs had to try to find the book that had the map while avoiding a pesky guard schnauzer, the other 2 PCs had to keep the bardings, the patrolling hobbits, distracted. Of course, the ones doing the distracting were 2 middle school boys whose idea was to set a tree on fire. Why does it always have to be fire with these guys? Which, fortunate for them, they failed their roles to complete the task. They all worked together, rolled some amazing stealth checks, headed back to Bilbo's place where they were rewarded with various weapons, which would prepare them for combat in the next adventure, where they would face a stone troll, and boy, it's going to be some kind of battle. So what did I learn from all of this? Well, I learned that running new systems is good for my brain. It was a pain at first, but I think it gave my brain a good stretching. One of the rules, and there were probably others that I messed up, is that I allowed several people to offer hope points. That's extra dice they can add to the pool to assist another player, when only one person is allowed to, and that person who gives the hope point must have at least 1 point in that skill to be able to help. So I'll just consider that a house rule. All I know is that I enjoyed running the game even though it is a different system, but as with anything, practice makes more perfect. I do know that I will have to make a cheat sheet to try to remember all these fiddly bits and what goes with what. Overall, I think everybody had a good time, I had a good time, and my goal is simply to get better at running a new system. But I'd like to hear from you. Have you played or run the One Ring? And do you, like me, find it to be a daunting challenge to run a system that is completely unlike any of the other systems you've run before? Let me know about your experiences down in the comments below. And hey, listen, if you're brand new here and this is your first time watching me and this is the kind of content you like to watch, well then be sure to go and click that subscribe button and you'll get videos like this on a regular basis. In addition to videos about running epic games at your table, DM tips, live plays, and game reviews. And if you're interested in seeing any more of these kinds of videos, well, I got some DM tips right over here and I have some review videos right over here. Go over there and check those out. And listen, if you really enjoyed this video today, go ahead and click the thumbs up button. That tells me you like the video and you want more like them. But that's it for today, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.